It is now recording.
Got it. The guy who's cracking jokes here is Chris Crockett.
City.
And Chris actually owns a Kia Soul himself.
I certainly do. A 2014 all-black Kia Soul. Owned it for about 4 months now, and I am pleasantly surprised. I do love it. I did a lot of research. It took me a while to kind of nail down what I wanted. Even the guy at the, I think it was a Hyundai dealership, kind of made fun of me because I was like, I want a truck SUV, hatchback, compact car that has a lot of leg room. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted.
You just wanted everything.
This had like, you know, it had kind of like the hatchback feel with a lot of leg room.
Yeah.
It was easy to maneuver around the city, which I loved because I had a lot of trouble. I had a Ford Escape before, which is kind of like a smaller SUV, but it was still sometimes not fun to drive around the city in an SUV. There's situations that are just, the Soul is a lot easier to parallel park. It's a lot easier to move around, takes up less space. So it's been a lot more fun to drive in general.
Stepping into, so this is the Kia Soul electric vehicle, so this means this burns no gas, 100% running on batteries and electricity. What?
We're in the future.
Does it feel like the future in here?
It certainly does. The engine is very quiet, which is it's not the same as my car, the 2014 that runs on gas.
Yeah.
It's very quiet in here. You don't really hear the revving of the engine, which is not necessarily a good thing. For me, I like to hear that my foot is doing something that connects to my brain that I'm accelerating. I think you don't really get an idea of how fast you're going sometimes because it's so quiet. So if you're going 40, sounds like the same as if you were going 60. I don't know.
That's a really good point, and I've actually experienced that when the speed limit will be 25 and I'll be doing like 40, and I won't even know it because this car just kind of like takes off, you know? What about in terms of interior? Is it drastically different, or
interior-wise, it looks very similar to mine.
It does, right?
It just looks like it has a technology package. Mine is a very basic standard. It just looks like it has a tech package. It has all the bells and whistles.
Nav, right?
Nav, yeah. I think the regular gas model offers pretty much the same thing.
You can get all of this, right, with...
Yeah.
You don't need to have the...
Yeah, I test drove a 2015 that looked just like this. That was gas powered.
This car cost $36,000.
Which is sticker shock for sure.
Which is a lot of money.
It's a lot.
You know, you do actually get a $7,500 tax credit from the government, so that brings the price down to high 20s. But even in the high 20s, is this something that you would pay your hard-earned money on?
At the time, it definitely wouldn't have fit my budget. And at the high price range, if I did have a high price range like that, I don't think the Soul would be in my consideration.
Okay.
I think I would go more towards something a little more flashy for me. You know, upper 20 grand, that's a lot of money. You know, I love it because it's one of those type of box cars, but it doesn't feel very boxy.
Right.
Like the Scion that just drove by us.
Yes.
It's very boxy, very square. I don't get that feeling in the Soul, which I've been. They're in their
It's got a compact feel, but spacious. Yeah, kind of.
I heard that the designer of the Soul, his inspiration was a warthog with a backpack.
Seriously?
Was the inspiration for the Kia Soul.
I didn't know that.
Pretty entertaining.
That's a pretty...
Which pretty sold me on the car. I was like, oh, that's pretty much what I was looking for.
That should be their marketing...
Yeah, that should be on the...
strategy there.
Their sticker right there.
Dude, where did you hear that?
Right under the price. I have no idea. Where did I hear that? I think I heard that at the dealership, actually. I think he said that to me.
Okay. Would you like it to be styled differently? So like people, like when you buy a Tesla, everyone knows it's a Tesla and it's an electric car.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much that differentiates this car to your gas-powered car that's half the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, if you put these cars side by side, you would know the difference. It has a nice little coat of paint.
yeah,
I think they've done that.
yeah, the color's great.
Yeah, the color.
So this car on a full tank of electricity, since this runs on all electricity.
Is that what you call it?
The
full tank of electricity. That's how that works.
It will go maximum 93 miles before you need to find a charging station and plug it back in.
Yeah.
Would that be a deal breaker? Not, you know, minus the price. If you had, you know, someone gave you this car, could you drive this every day?
For me, it definitely wouldn't work. Like we talked before, I'm driving over 1,000 miles per month.
So yeah,
what
for
goes
me,
into charging the car? You don't just kind of throw it in there, or
it comes with a special plug, and you just you plug it into the front of the car, and then you can plug it into your 120 volt just standard outlet at your house, or you can have like a special 240 volt which charges it in half that time, also available. So but you need to have that specially installed, because most outlets are just your standard 120 volt.
It would always be a constant fear of running out of electricity gas, I guess. Running out of battery, running on E.
Yeah.
Where I'm like I would always be looking at like, where can I charge this? I'll be at my girlfriend's house. Can I plug this into your house real quick? Is that cool?
Yeah, like I wonder if there would you be crossing the relationship line? You know, asking to borrow electricity, or
it would be a good test for our relationship for sure. Hey, do you mind if I kind of mooch off some electricity for a little bit? Hey, if you want to go out to dinner, you're gonna have to open your electrical sockets to me.
There's all sorts of bad jokes involved in that scheme there. I like the interior color though. It's like a soft gray. It's definitely different than most, you know, interiors, which are always like a darker color. It's very bright and lively in here. What do you think about my Eco Dash here?
The Dash is actually pretty cool, pretty high tech. It's interesting. I think it would be cool for 2 days, and then it just kind of fades into the background like most things.
That's actually really, like, when I first got it, I was like, oh yeah, like I can see the power, I can see it recharging.
Whoa.
You know, but then the range, that thing you just always watch, because like you're always scared about, you know, how much battery am I using, you know, am I driving conservative, you know,
and some people are going to be really into that, into the tech stuff and things like that. For me,
you just want to drive.
I want to drive a car, you know, from A to B.
So what kind of miles per gallon are you getting in your...
Getting out on highway mostly, it's going closer to 32.
Okay, wow.
Pretty solid.
That's really good, actually.
Pretty solid, yeah.
So 32. This would just be like having 3 gallons of gasoline in your car at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm constantly sweating and looking at the
constantly refilling your 3-gallon gasoline tank.
Looking for a place to plug in.
And
I don't want to bash them too much for that, just because how much does a Tesla cost? Let's get real.
Anywhere from $70,000 to $130,000.
I think Tesla has that because if someone sees a Tesla, they know that they dropped that amount of money.
Right.
I think that's the status symbol, and it's hard to do that in a Kia.
Right.
You know, people don't recognize Kia with a high-priced, you know, status symbol that they would a Tesla or, you know, a Porsche.
Right. But on the plus side, you know, it's a really good car.
It's definitely a nice, solid car.
Right.
I love it all around. I loved it so much because it overwhelmed you with the price. The price was so low and you got so much for it. That's why I loved my car.
Right.
Where here you get pretty much the same car, the same feel that you did for 14,000. Like for 14,000, mine was 14,000. This is 36,000, and it feels like you're driving the same car.
Right.
You know,
and that's not
if
a
I'm
big...
gonna spend $36,000, I want it to overwhelm me, which I don't feel like it would as much as if you're spending $14,000.
So what would put you in the seat of not just this car, but any electric car?
It would have to get better gas mileage. It would have to get
better range.
Okay. It would have to be better range, and I think I would have to educate myself more on, you know, what are the costs, the hidden cost of owning an electric car, which is, you know, if the battery needs to be replaced, which I don't know, this could be a myth that like the battery needs to be replaced every 5 to 10 years. You're gonna
I think it's around every 10 years or so.
Yeah. So how much that's going to cost, what it does to when you go to resell the car, of, you know, how much money does that take away from the car? Is someone going to want to buy your car when in 3 years the battery needs to be replaced? Things like that sometimes you don't think about, but could kind of like hurt you when you're trying to resell the car.
Well, the maintenance wise is good because you don't have any oil, so you never have to change your oil. Spark plugs, no spark plugs, no timing belts. So, you know, major maintenance is pretty low-key on EVs until that major elephant in the room, the battery, needs to be replaced. And I don't know the cost of that,
that's
but
a good question.
I'm imagining it's not exactly cheap.
It's not gonna be cheap.
To actually charge this car, it's about $2 to $3. That's it. So to go 90 miles costs around $2 to $3, which is...
So that's definitely cheaper.
It's definitely cheaper.
That's at least 50 to 60% cheaper.
Right, but it's really freaking hard to find a charging station. And you have to charge it at your house, and it takes, to charge it at your house, then you need a special charging station at your house. And it's kind of, it hasn't been easy to charge this car at all, actually. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your time. And so overall thoughts on the 2015 Kia Soul EV here?
Overall, if you gifted me this car, I would love to have it. If you just kind of handed me the keys, it'd be great. I don't know if I'm willing to spend the amount of money that it costs to obtain it.
Yeah.
But I think that would be my main concern. I think it's a little too expensive, especially knowing that I paid 60% of the cost in my car. And
for 90% of the car, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. It just seemed like a much better value. You know what I mean?
My butt's cold.
But it's freezing.